Why does ambition lack when high? And when will it return? Dopamine is the driving motivator to our ambition in life. When we consume anything in excess, it negatively affects our dopamine levels. Highs and lows are common when we consume things that negatively impact our hormones. So, what goes up in excess also has to come down in excess. When we quit weed, our bodies need to remember to produce our own dopamine, as we are getting it from weed for years. It's an external source that we're getting it from. Our bodies are all different, and it can take some time for us to start building back our own awareness in our body that these things need to start being produced again. And it could take us up to 90 days, even longer, for our bodies to start producing our own dopamine supply. This is where a lot of people, when they quit and try to get sober, they struggle. And they struggle because their dopamine or their ambition, their drive or motivation is at an all-time low. And when you're already at this place and you mix into that withdrawal symptoms, you're going to go down even further. It's going to be really difficult to maintain being sober when your system is already in a deficit. And then you add on top of that a lot of uncomfortability that is going to be demotivating in itself. No one wants to feel angry out of nowhere. Nobody wants to have insomnia. Nobody wants to be depressed, bored, stressed out of their mind. Those are all things that can happen from the withdrawal symptoms, as well as our dopamine being suppressed. So, for our bodies to start producing its own dopamine again, we need to, one, stop smoking the marijuana long enough that our body recognizes that this now needs to be made because we're no longer getting it from an external source. The way we can fast track this process is to get to the subconscious mind and get it on board with the conscious desires that weed will no longer be an option. And so when you get to the root cause, when you get to your mind consciously in your subconscious mind, that often causes people to relapse because it's viewed as the only solution in life. Once you get those two to come together in a line, there's no thinking to sobriety. The issue that a lot of people run into when they try to go sober is that it's this conscious decision. They're going throughout their day and they're like, okay, I can't drive down this street because there's a dispensary there. I can't hang out with these people because they smoke weed and it reminds me of those times. I can't play these games because that's what I used to do all the time when I was high, and I would really struggle to not want to include that still. And they'll consciously try to not get high. Now, I'm going to give you a quick little exercise to kind of show you that when you try to not think about doing something, you actually, more often than not, will do it. And before I give you that little quick exercise, let me give you an example. There are people that have never smoked or never drunk in their entire life. They aren't consciously reminding themselves not to do that because it is subconsciously not a solution for them. They don't view that as a good idea or a good option, consciously or subconsciously. So when you are trying to do something, which trying often implies failure. If I tell you to try and open a door versus open the door, one is bound to succeed. The other one, if you just try but not open the door, you're trying. You open the door, that in itself is the subconscious movement. So here's a quick exercise. And again, this is to show you that when you try to not do something, more often than not, you will do it. And that's why you have to get to the root cause. You have to get to the subconscious issue, or this will continue to be an issue in your life. You will continuously relapse when you can't think of any other aspect than turning to the weed. And your brain, your subconscious brain, will convince you that it's not that big a deal. You know what? I've been going through a lot of stress. There's so many health benefits to marijuana. I'll just pick it back up again. When originally, when you try to be sober, you actually had a lot of reasons why you wanted to quit. So there's a oscillating theme here of where you want to do something and you have good reasons for it. And then those reasons end up getting debunked and belittled, and then you go back to it. That's because you have a subconscious issue. So I'm going to tell you this. Don't think of a purple elephant. How'd that work? Okay, no, let's try it again. I really want you to try to not think about a purple elephant. Don't do it. Stop doing that. Do not think of a purple elephant anymore. Stop thinking about it. Do you see when you try to not do something, it does not work? That is why people relapse when the subconscious need has not been met. When it hasn't been addressed, you can consciously try to go about sobriety all you want. When actual sober people, they don't think about being sober. They're just sober. So you have to deal with the subconscious issue, and then your conscious mind no longer has to think about it. If anything, you'll be like, oh shit, got off the job that I hate, and I realized I wasn't even thinking about smoking after work when I usually would. Isn't that awesome? And that's what happens after the session. When you actually start living your life past our session, you start to realize like, oh shit, like my life is actually vastly different than any other time I tried to quit. This isn't a problem anymore. And then there's the excitement, and you build that relationship with yourself again because you can trust that this is a permanent change. So if this is something you want to change in your life, reach out. I can definitely help you. Take care.